Welcome back to America's Fractured Politics. Today, I am very pleased to have with me Ramona Grigg. Ramona, for those of you who are on Substack especially, has been a freelance writer for more than 50 years. She writes newspaper columns and feature pieces in magazines, mainly in her early career, and has been a political blogger since Obama's first inauguration, writing at her blog. Ramona's voice is in Crooks and Liars, Salon, Huffington Post, and other progressive websites. She writes mainly at Substack now as the owner of two publications there. Constant Commenter covers politics as needed from a liberal point of view, as well as essays on grief, aging, travel, and her life as a commoner in Michigan's northern reaches. Her other publication, Writer Everlasting, is a salon for working creative writers who would never in a million years call their work content. Writer Everlasting is a no-judgment safe place for harried writers, and the comment sections are lively, full of wit and wisdom. I can attest to that from having read them. Her readers say that they like her plain, no-nonsense approach to writing and to life, and maybe especially her choice to stay away from big words meant more to impress than to describe. As a political writer, she draws on years of experience as an activist and advocate and doesn't shy away from the pain of it all, nor the emotions. She firmly believes in preaching to the choir. They're the ones who need the most boosting anyway. Anyone else wouldn't listen. Ramona, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to be here, Mark.
It's great to have you here. Let's kick it off. Minneapolis. All of us are distraught and angry about what happened this week. Could you put it in the context of what's happening around us with some insanity seemingly overwhelming us on a day-to-day basis?
Oh my God. I wish I could. I'm still trying to process that, both the murder of Renee Good and the attempts by Trump's people to make us believe she had it coming. And lying about what happened. She didn't strike him. He wasn't in the hospital. He wasn't in any danger. None of that happened. We just can't take much more of this. We know the truth because we see the truth. It was plain out and out murder. We've seen this kind of thing so many times. Cameras record the truth time and time again. But in the end, it never matters. They just get away with it. And we're all of us who care are at such a fever pitch right now. We're just exhausted from the outrage. I don't even know what to think anymore, and I can't even write about it. I haven't been able to write about it. I've tried. And I'm happy that the rest of you are writing what you're writing and analyzing and trying to figure out what happened, what we can do, how we can keep it from happening again. But I'm so angry at the people who have every right, every obligation to stop every bit of this. They won't. It's not that they can't. They just won't. And I don't know how to get through to them. I don't see that anybody else is getting through to them. So no, I have no answers for it. I wish I did.
I don't see anybody getting through to them either. I don't know if you've heard, but there are various videos and deep fakes rolling around online that basically depict her as deriding Charlie Kirk and celebrating his murder, among other things.
Oh,
They're doing everything they can to demonize her.
Oh no, I haven't seen that. Oh, horrible.
It's just horrible.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of it because there are so many lies out there. And there are so many places where lies can just gestate and grow and become somebody else's reality that we don't even know how to fight.
Well, they start at the top, don't they?
They do. And that's the problem.
I saw Kristi Noem on TV yesterday, and she basically defended everything that the officer did was robotic in her answers and completely unwilling to admit wrongdoing in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, basically reiterated her complaint that it was her fault and it wouldn't have happened if she hadn't been where she was doing what she was doing. And
Right.
I found that profoundly troubling because she's reaching a national audience. And I know a lot of people won't believe it, but it just reinforces the predilections of the people that do believe it. And it just makes for a more divided environment.
And when she's saying it that she knows she's lying.
Yes.
That's the sad thing. And they're all doing it. It's like they're all just kind of gathering around and deciding that this is the big lie now, that she had it coming, that she deserved to die. And how horrible. How absolutely horrible.
It is horrible. Let's switch gears for a minute. This is trivial by comparison, but it's really not in many respects. You've written about how upset you are about Trump's desecration of the East Wing. He announced last Friday that he's building an upper story on the West Wing.
I
How do we
know.
put a stop to this?
Oh my gosh. Again, you're asking me a question that I have absolutely no answer for.
Who
I mean,
does?
look, it's enough. I mean, the man is clearly crazy. And I really don't use that word lightly. He's crazy with power because nobody will tell him no, no matter how insane his ideas are. So it's not a matter of trying to force him to stop. It's a matter of forcing those who can stop him to make him stop. They knew, going back to the East Wing, they knew well enough ahead of time that he was going to tear down the East Wing to build a mammoth ballroom of all the crazy things. And it's just inconceivable that nobody could figure out a way to stop the bulldozers before they destroyed it. They clearly needed approval. They clearly needed permits, just as with any other construction job, but they let it happen. I mean, there were offices full of people in those complexes who could have put a stop to it at any time, and they never did. And why?
They're afraid of him.
And there's not enough pressure put on any of them, other than from our side, from our leaders, other than just begging them or strongly worded letters, which mean nothing when you're dealing with someone who just are under control of a crazy person.
You know, I'm
You have
probably sorry. Go ahead.
you have Stephen Miller and you have Peter Thiel and whoever else is pulling the strings, the real power, who still find him useful as their whole reason for being is to just have domination of our entire country.
The world too.
And we just our leaders just vacillate and just come off as weaklings. And meanwhile, there are millions of us who are hollering and screaming and begging them to get busy and do something. And I don't see anything happening. And I hate to say that because I've always been, as everyone knows, a cheerleader for the Democrats. I've defended them when maybe they didn't deserve defending because I've been a Democrat all my life and I want to have faith in them. But man, I'm losing faith. And if I lose faith, that's a bad sign.
I'm losing faith too. And I think one of the things that makes it very difficult to support the Democratic Party right now is that hundreds of members in both houses are taking corporate money, and they're taking it by the bushel loads. And it makes it very hard for them to oppose a lot of what Trump does because a lot of those corporations that are giving the money support Trump.
Right. Yeah.
So their mouths are sealed shut.
That's got to stop. And we have to stop having money as being the only criteria for elections or getting any kind of power or anything. We just, I mean, it's just insane to let the moneyed people be in charge. I mean, we have billionaires up the kazoo right now who are pretty much in charge of everything because they control the purse strings, and you can't get elected and you can't get anywhere as a Democrat or a Republican without that money.
A lot of these people need to be primaried. I think we've reached the point now where it's very difficult to continue allowing them to hold power without some expectation that they're going to continue what they're doing. Let me switch gears again, talk about some more personal issues. You've written about poets and writers. Tell me some more about that.
Well, I haven't seen it in the news, so I brought it up. I wrote a blog just recently about what they've taken as their own action against Trump and what's going on. And Poets and Writers has been around since 1987. well, they were under a different name before, but they became Poets and Writers in 1987. And I think I've been subscribing since just a few years after they started. So I've been around for a long time. They're a magazine for working literary writers. Um, and but they say I wrote this down. Poets and Writers has been a trusted companion to writers who take their vocation seriously. Within its pages, our readers find provocative essays on the literary life, practical guidance for getting published and pursuing writing careers, in-depth profiles of poets, fiction writers, and writers of creative nonfiction, and conversation among fellow professionals. So I've never considered myself a literary writer or a poet, but I find things in there all the time that are interesting and can apply to me. And so when I'm not writing about politics or life in general, I'm writing about writers and writing at my other publication, as you mentioned, Writer Everlasting. And many of my ideas come from poets and writers. But recently they had applied for grants and federal grants and were turned down. And then suddenly out of nowhere, they received a $70,000 government grant that they were happy to see until they started reading the small print. And I think this comes with all grants now. There were requirements that demanded no DEI, no gender identity connections, meaning gay or trans, whatever. And they decided that though they needed that $70,000 badly, they wouldn't do it. And they wrote about it on the back page of the latest Poets and Writers magazine. And I was so proud of them. So I did write about it, and I couldn't be more proud of them. I hope that other people will recognize that there are those small little victories that come along, and that there are people protesting and trying to change things, and maybe even making sacrifices just so that they don't have to go along with that silly, stupid nonsense.
You know, you mentioned that, and there's so much pressure right now that's coming largely from this administration to kill DEI
Oh,
dead.
yeah.
And I fear that a lot of organizations that otherwise were supportive of DEI have now ditched it because of fear of Trump. And I just wonder whether we'll get a renaissance of it once the Democrats come back into power, or whether it's dead for good.
Well, I'm hoping it'll happen even before the Democrats come back into power. I'm hoping that more universities and that kind of an organization that believes in DEI and believes in gender identity and all of the things that they used to believe in will be brave enough to come back and say, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do what we need to do, because obviously it's important, and we can't let that die. We can't let those things die. So they have to be stronger than just waiting for the Democrats to come back. They just have to do it now.
On writing, I just wondered, where do you get your inspiration? I know there are times I feel like I've got writer's block. I can't figure out what to write about because I've written so many different posts about so many different issues, and I start to wonder whether there's anything left to say anymore.
I think that's kind of a problem for me right now. I notice that I'm having a hard time, as much as I would like to write about what's been happening with all of this. I'm just not able to do it. I'm reading what all of you are writing and what everybody else is writing, and I'm feeling like you've said it all, and there isn't anything more for me to say. But I don't know. As far as my inspiration, I seem to, other than these few little blocks that I have like this, mainly because they're emotional for me. I think the big part is that my emotions are just at such a fever pitch right now that I'm having a hard time putting things into words. And most of what I write is based on my emotions. But I'm an observer. Otherwise, I'm just an observer, and I look at everything and I hear everything, and I always want to know more. And I wonder how writers can say they have nothing to write about, because unless they're living in a cave with darkness everywhere, they're in environments just teeming with possibilities. I mean, there's just stuff out there to write about all the time. And it doesn't have to be major stuff. It can be, I think where we are with Substack and with subscriptions, and when you have subscribers, they become your friends. They become people who are allies and friends because they're there because they want to be, and they come
Yes.
back and they comment, which is amazing and wonderful. And so, but I try to choose my themes with my readers in mind. But really, I feel like writing something that interests me, I'll just take it on. I'll try to do it in a way that makes it interesting for them. And usually that means I'll be writing it as a conversation, because that's how I write, between us, and not as me standing at a podium lecturing or trying to teach them something. I'd rather we just feel as if we're among friends and we have this in common. I try to do that even with my political writing, which by necessity, because I'm usually more passionate about it than level-headed, I tend to become emotional. And
Write
I'm
better when
usually,
you're angry?
yeah, pardon me?
Do you write better when you're angry?
Um, I do, although I try to temper it, because I'm usually a basket case when I start writing, because I have an issue that is just annoying me or enraging me or whatever. So I have to try and calm down. Um, so I try to track myself down a lot of the time and at least appear calm. But I want my words to resonate. I want my readers to come away understanding that it's okay to feel scared and vulnerable and enraged and sad, because most of the time we have plenty of good reasons for that. And I try to be hopeful, though I'm not always feeling it. I'm almost never feeling it, but I try to be. And because without hope, um, what is there? I mean, if we can't push hope, then there's probably no reason to be writing.
That's
And
true.
I leave the analysis and the deeper dives to other people like you, who understand the dynamics. I don't understand the dynamics so much. I kind of come at it from a point of view of just somebody who's out there watching and observing and trying to figure out. And I I go into it with wanting my readers to understand how important it is to get through this as a community, as friends, as neighbors, fighting together for a better tomorrow. So I suppose I am preaching to the choir, which is okay with me, because, as I said, who else is going to listen? And that's how we build communities, by showing each other that we're together and we're united and we all feel the same and we all want the same outcomes. But the problem is we have no idea what those outcomes should be. We have no idea where to go.
I've written 2 pieces on Minneapolis in the past week. I wrote one last night that published this
Yes.
morning, and I wrote one a few days ago. And the one the other day was full of passion. It was about the horror of it all, and it tried to kind of put into words how we're all feeling. This one was more clinical. It was basically a legal analysis of what Minnesota can do. And I concluded that Minnesota needs to sue no matter what. They need to prosecute no matter what.
Yes, and I hope they will. Yeah. Oh, how did you feel when you were writing the one that was more passionate? What was that? Which was the harder for you to write?
The clinical one was a little bit more harder to write because it involved a little more research and I had to go digging into it, and it wasn't exactly passionate, which I prefer more passionate pieces. I prefer kind of pouring out what I feel in words and trying to express what I'd like to think of the feelings of others and give them some reaffirmation about how they're feeling and what they're thinking about the issues of the day. So I enjoyed writing the other piece a little bit more, simply because I was able to pour out what I was feeling in a way that gave me some peace and hopefully gave others something to think about.
Do you think Minnesota actually will go through with suing them and maybe getting a good outcome.
I believe that they will take action. I believe they'll be limited in their ability to do it, but I think they need to do it simply because we need to expose this federal government, this regime. We need to
Right.
expose the judicial system that allows them to use immunity to keep this guy on the streets. And we need to expose the Supreme Court because it's inevitably going to end up there, and we know what will happen when it gets there.
Oh,
So
yeah.
for all of those reasons, we need to expose them. And the other thing they need to do is file a civil suit. Break
Did
this
it
guy's
spread?
back.
Yes, yes. Apparently that's all they can do is file a civil suit now. From
Well,
what I understand.
they can file a criminal action. It's just what happens when it gets filed. The feds will
Right.
immediately move to get it into federal court, and that's where the problems begin.
Yeah. Were you surprised that Ross wasn't arrested right away?
No, not a bit. The force that ICE has been using, and I think the concern on the part of the Minnesota authorities is what would happen if they tried to arrest him. I mean, I think they're probably genuinely fearful of a shootout in the streets between the police and ICE.
Yeah.
I mean, if everybody says that can't happen, look again. These guys are willing to pull out a gun and shoot a woman in the face 3 times. So
Crazy.
they're willing to shoot anybody. They feel as though they have a license to kill. They've been given guns. They're out of shape. They're mentally defective. They're getting tons of money,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they feel like kings.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. They feel as if there's nobody can stop them. And that's so dangerous.
It's
And
very
apparently
dangerous.
nobody can stop them.
Right now, nobody can. I think that one of the reasons you want to go ahead and pursue this is to just give them pause and make them realize that states will take action if they have to, and we can tie them up in court. I mean,
I hope
just
so.
the act of being prosecuted is going to torture him,
Right.
and that'll
Yeah.
be worth it. That'll be worth it alone.
Right.
Let's talk about you for a minute. You've written very candidly on Substack about your cancer and the fact that it's recurred. Um,
Yeah.
how is the treatment affecting you? How are you doing with the treatment? How does it affect your writing? What has it done to your life?
Well, it's one thing. I'm on chemo right now. I had 8 sessions and I've had 6 so far, and I have 2 more to go. And I'm lucky in one regard in that I'm as old as I am. I'm 88. So my doctor, my oncologist, um, was nervous about giving me chemo. So she decided that I should have chemo, but I would have half doses over a longer period of time. So it's making it a little easier on my body to have half doses. I've had chemo before. I've had breast cancer before 8 years ago, and I had chemo, and it was rough. But with this one, I have lost my hair. I have lost my sense of taste, some of my sense of taste. I have periods of chemo brain where I just have to stop trying to do anything like writing anything in depth because my brain is just not functioning the way it should function. That usually comes about 4 days after my chemo. I start having chemo brain, which is just funny. It's just odd to me. But I take steroids those first 3 days. So on the 4th day, when I don't have the steroids anymore, chemo brain sets in. So it's almost like I have to set a schedule to, if I want to do anything in depth, I'd better do it while I'm on steroids because it's not going to work after that until it wears off again just before I have my next chemo. But the tumor is contained, and it looks like it may have dissolved on its own, which is a good sign. So I'm really I don't know, maybe it's stupid on my part, but I'm pretty optimistic, and I'm just waiting to get over the chemo and whatever else I have to do. I may have to have a lumpectomy, but I'm kind of taking it as just this irritation more than anything that's just a major thing in my life. And I don't know, maybe that's just dumb on my part, but I'm at that age, I think, where I'm just thinking every day is a gift, and if I don't take it, I'm pretty stupid.
I think it speaks well of you that you're taking it the way you are. I think you should take it as you've described it, because you are 88 and you've gone through a lot. You've lived a lot. You've lived through part of World War II,
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
and you have memories that a lot of people would only wish they could capture. And you have a lot to live for still. I mean, you're still vital aside from the
I
cancer.
do. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm grateful for every day. I'm really kind of happily surprised that, I forget sometimes how old I am. And when it hits me again, I think, how could nobody's 88? How could I be 88? But there I am, but I'm still, I don't feel 8. And that's probably a good thing. And
I
even,
don't feel my
and
age
as it's,
either.
pardon me?
I don't feel my age either.
That's good. That's a good thing. We should just go on and do what we're capable of doing and enjoy it. And the cancer is it'll be gone, and hopefully it won't come back again, and I won't have
It
to
won't.
worry.
You know, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer in October.
Yes,
She had a
yes.
very small tumor in her right breast, and they saw some markers that they were concerned about, so they ended up doing a double mastectomy.
Uh,
And she's recovering from that very nicely. They've done a lot of work to make the process as simple as possible, but she just got results back from her oncotype analysis, and she doesn't need chemo or radiation.
oh, that's wonderful. That good for her.
We had a little
I'm
party
happy.
to
To hear
celebrate.
that. Yeah, that is. I'm so glad for her.
Yeah, she's
And
going to take
and
hormones for 5 or 10 years, and that's about it.
I'm doing that too. I think they're telling me that I'll probably have to take those hormones for the rest of my life, which is not as long as hers. But this cancer was not hormonal. It was a different kind of cancer, which was kind of surprising. So, uh, but it's not. As I said, it was just one tumor, so it's not as serious as it could have been. So that's where I am. I think I'm more worried about my country than I am about my health.
Well, there's a lot to be worried about. Um,
Yeah.
just, I'm just curious, what is your feeling about what you're reading on Substack these days, just in general terms? Are you enthused by what you're reading? Are you concerned by it? Are you happy about it? Do you find that do you find it sufficiently engaging? Or is there more that can be done?
Um, I do. I'm overall, I am really happy with Substack. I'm excited to be on. I see a lot of the complaints about Substack. I see a lot of people saying that they're leaving Substack and going to Ghost or somewhere else. And I don't feel that way. I I s- I I look at everything. I look at politics. I look at just general stories. I look at people who are doing artwork and who are writing memoirs or fiction or poetry or any of those things. I mean, I just find a vast arena of things that I'm interested in, and I feel like I have a lot of friends on Notes. I really like Notes. I know a lot of people don't. Um, I find Notes to be the kind of thing that Twitter used to be when it was in its early days, and we could all be a community there. I feel like there's a real community at Notes, and and in and with Substack in general. So yeah, I used to have all those complaints about where they were with the right wing and all of that, and I do see a little bit of that, but it does not show up much on mine. I don't know why. Somehow I've kind of kept all of that away from my own places, and I don't see that so much. But I know it exists, but mm, I'm not really a part of that. I like where I am with it, and I like the people I follow, and I'm happy with it. How
I've
about
made a
you?
couple of personal friends on there. I have lunch with Mark Friedman every few weeks.
Really?
Yeah, he's moved into the area, and I have lunch with him regularly. He's just a great writer and a great guy, terrific lawyer.
Yeah.
But I made other friends there too. That we have chats offline. We talk. Um, we commiserate. It's just, it's a fraternity of people and a sorority of people that are like-minded that tend to encourage each other. But what I did with this podcast was I believed that I needed to reach beyond the group of people that think the way we do to others who may not have made up their minds, and to try to kind of get other people on the podcasts or do them alone to try to express thoughts that I believe that are worth listening to and hopefully persuade a few people. And so far, I'm getting listeners from outside of our sphere of influence, and that's really encouraging.
Nice. Yeah, that's great. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I have a couple of chat groups and not chat groups especially, but we do Zoom calls and from different Substack writers who I'm feeling pretty close to, and
Great.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, but I'm glad to hear that you're reaching out to others too, and I think it's a great place. I think it can be a great place, and I think we have opportunities with Substack and with notes that I've just never seen anywhere else.
I like leaving notes. They give me an opportunity to say what I'm thinking on the spot without having to sit down and write a whole post.
Yeah, yeah. And I like the feedback, and we get interaction and feedback, and so it's working for me, and obviously it's working for you.
Yeah, it is. It's been terrific. I mean, I get a lot of feedback, some of it negative, a lot of it positive. There are some people who troll on there who just attack anything that's being said that comes from the left.
Right.
And I've learned to deal with them. I just block them. And that's the only way to deal with it.
I do too. I just don't hesitate to block anymore. I used to answer because it was fun to answer sometimes, but then it would just get carried away and you're just,
Upsetting yourself for nothing.
Yeah. It just turns into nothing. So yeah, I block whenever somebody's on there who says something I don't like. It's my space. I can do what I want.
That's exactly right. And at your age, you have every right to do what you want. You're long past giving a shit, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Although I try to care. But if somebody's just over the top, then they're not worth bothering with.
Well, you're caring about the right things, which matters. Any final thoughts?
I can't think of anything. I really appreciate you doing this. I love your podcasts, and I just want to tell you how much I appreciate what you do on Substack. And I hope you realize how useful everything is that you're doing on there.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. I mean, I put a lot into it, and it's nice to know that it's nice to know that it's being received well. That's encouraging.
Yeah, and I know you work hard at it, and I do appreciate it. I hope everybody does.
I hope so too. Ramona, I can't thank you enough for coming on and doing this today. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you, Mark, and it's always good to see you.
Stay on with me for a second while this downloads.
Okay.
Don't leave yet.